So here we are for the latest Review or Die podcast. I'm Toby Chen, as you may not have heard of much of me lately. Ryan appears to have been doing all of the podcasts lately.
Yeah, but you've been working on the website.
That's true.
We've given it away.
Oh, yeah, more to come on that.
Yeah, forget about it.
Anyway, we are out and about here discussing films and games over a pub lunch. So we thought, great opportunity to do a podcast. And first up, we're going to talk about When Marnie Was There, the latest from Studio Ghibli.
Yes, the lovely film.
So Ryan obviously really loves it, big fan of the studio. And obviously myself, loving their animation, in particular their recent works. So it's good to that they've got this final film, which is, well, mooted by many to be their final film after the retirement of Miyazaki and their imposed hiatus, which they have not been clear about, really. They haven't really said what they're going to do next.
I'm clinging to the hope that it's hiatus only.
That, yes.
There might be, possibly some rebranding, but I'm not sure how much of the brand Ghibli is Miyazaki, if legally speaking.
Of course, yeah, and that will obviously come into it. But this film isn't Miyazaki.
No.
This is from a different director. This time it is...
the director this time is Hiromasa Yonebayashi, I think?
Yonebayashi, yeah.
Forgive us if we're saying these names wrong.
Of course, and the story concerns a young girl called Anna, who which starts the film in quite a way of sort of self-hatred and depression, which is quite an unusual sort of take on, because it's quite a teenage film. It's quite an angsty film, but
I would say that a lot of the Ghibli fantasy, because this is pretty much a fantasy film, do start off that way with the protagonist being either stroppy, maybe, or at least in some way hurting inside, shall we say.
Of course. So Anna is full of angst and sent as a result to live with her auntie and uncle out in the sticks, and where she discovers this ghost-like and ethereal mansion, and as a result Marnie, basically, yes. And then it basically charts their journey together, their emotional development, as well as their friendship. So Ryan, your thoughts on this one? You liked it?
I loved it. Well, first off, I pretty much have to say that it is actually based on a novel. Did you know that?
Oh yes, it did. Yeah, a British novel actually as well, isn't it?
Yes, which is quite. I think it's a children's book as far as
it is a kids' book.
But I'm very tempted to read it now just to see where the differences are. But I loved it. As I said to you before, I do have maybe something a bit more of a connection to it because of the whole sort of imaginary friend aspect. Personally, I've had that sort of issue with in childhood and obviously growing up when I've had sort of mental issues sort of thing. I've had imaginary friends, so to speak. So that did speak to me. I do think it's one of the better Ghibli films. It would definitely, if there was like a top list of the Ghibli films from least favourite to favourite, it would definitely be in the top half. I can't say where yet. That's probably a list for the
Another
website
day.
at some point. But
So if we're talking about Ghibli's latest releases, which we have lots of great ones, The Tale of Princess Kaguya, The Wind Rises, Arrietty, Ponyo. Where does that rank in amongst, particularly the later works?
higher, I would say.
Yeah.
For me at least. Ones that you mentioned there that I really like, obviously The Wind Rises, I think is definitely a masterpiece. But Ponyo is a very favourite.
Yes, I know you like that.
Mine.
That's why
I think When Marnie Was There does top Ponyo, definitely.
Wow, okay.
But I'm not so sure about The Wind Rises being tops.
For me, obviously, I don't believe The Wind Rises is topped or bettered here. I think the material is quite light, actually. Unlike you, I know I can see its charms and its quirks, and obviously the animation style is, as ever, just as beautiful. But for me, I think the film has some problems. Notably, the one that really got me, and I saw it with a friend as well, and we both said the same thing. The relationship between Marnie and Anna, the tone of it is quite strange. I think we were sort of swept up into it on a romantic level, which,
Right.
but obviously it's very platonic.
Yes.
So, I mean, maybe we misread it, maybe we misinterpreted it, but from what we saw, we thought that Studio Ghibli were going to enter the field of sort of LGBT cinema and go with a lesbian story.
Is, yeah, what I think. Yeah.
But so that really threw me off, especially when the end is, and it's, you know, this isn't ruining the plot here, but there's a revelation that Marnie and Anna aren't going to sort of be together.
Yeah.
But they're not going to be together as friends. But whereas we saw that is they're not going to be together as lovers, and, we both saw that. So that tonally jarring element sort of knocks off a few points for me. I also think maybe some of it's a little bit simplistic in the way it develops. I don't think it has this swan song feel like The Wind Rises does.
No.
Which, I mean, was Miyazaki's final film, so it probably naturally had that tone. But for this to be maybe Studio Ghibli's last film before their hiatus, it feels quite small, a little bit insular to a degree, because it's just, the two people. But, it's good, it's enjoyable, it's got its merits and its charms, of course. There's obviously some very funny moments as well, some nice humour in it. So for me, it's a very middle-of-the-road Studio Ghibli film. I'd recommend to check it out, but I wouldn't recommend that it would maybe go in your top 5 list as it might go in yours.
Yeah, it would definitely top 5 for Studio Ghibli films, I'll say that. I'm putting it into my top favourites of all time. That's to be discussed later, sort of thing. One other thing we have to point out is that neither of us have seen a English dub.
Oh yeah, there's no English dub version that we found in cinemas yet.
So the dubbing version may some people be like not as good, or because there's always that issue with.
There's
dubbing.
an issue with Ghibli if you like it in subtitle or if you like it in dub. Personally, I don't mind either.
No.
But some people do have a.
I can understand why the issue is, because sometimes things are lost in translation. Sometimes they have
definitely.
to be, but I mean with this one, I don't really see.
I can't see really what will be lost in translation, but then of course there are things that could be, so it's probably worth mentioning. But there's our views and our opinions on When Marnie Was There. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, tell us your thoughts in the comments section below, or of course on Twitter.
Let us know your favourite Ghibli film.
Yes, let's start that debate.
But please don't let it be Porco Rosso,
which Ryan doesn't like. If it's The Wind Rises, you get bonus points. Join us again next time on Review or Die.
See you later.